The echoes of silence, the forest swallowed sound, the trees stood like darkened sentinels, whispering secrets to the wind. Ahead loomed the abandoned radio station, jagged and forlorn against the twilight sky. Marcus Delaney led the group with a mix of confidence and haste, chasing the fame he once knew. Once a celebrated radio voice, now worn by time and regret, Marcus glanced back at his motley crew. Each carried their own misery, seeking something in the station's static shadows. "This is it," he declared, sweeping an arm like a showman, revealing a forgotten prize. The birthplace of legends. Etta Barnes rolled her eyes. "The skeptic, her title like armor, lens fueled by folklore and campfire tales," she retorted, adjusting her glasses with a pointed jab. "A station haunted by dust and old electrical interference." Gavin Brooks, a self-styled podcast sensation, chuckled, a brash sound cutting through the haze. "That makes for good content, though, doesn't it? A haunted broadcast? Sounds like a viral hit." Lila Truss pocketed a dusty microphone cable, her sticky fingers deft in the gloom. "Haunted or not, there's value in relics, if you know where to look." Her voice smooth as the static that snaked through abandoned frequencies. Nina Perez lingered behind, her wide eyes darting, as if the forest might swallow her before she could prove herself. "Doesn't it feel like it's still alive?" she whispered, the question barely hanging in the air. Inside, the station was a forgotten temple to sound. Rusted equipment held a malevolent spark. Buttons and dials glowed with an eerie light as the group ventured deeper. The air was thick with static, a living entity that seemed to watch and wait. Marcus positioned himself before a cracked microphone, a nostalgic grin stretching across his face. Once more into the breach, he murmured, flipping switches that groaned like old bones. The station crackled to life, a discordant symphony of noise and echoes. The voices started, not quite voices, but twisted sounds carrying a cold dread that settled onto shoulders and burrowed into minds. Etta leaned closer to a console, skepticism wavering as she listened. "Nothing but feedback," she mumbled, doubt creeping into her analytical bravado. Yet the echoes spoke, whispering secrets with venomous clarity. Lila froze, the spectral voices accusing her of theft and deception. Her fingers trembled as she reached for more equipment, the static a jury and executioner. Gavin, captivated, recorded everything, unaware of how the ethereal chorus turned admiration into mockery, peeling back his fragile ego. This is incredible," he breathed, failing to see the shadows closing in. Marcus, caught in vanity, spun tales of future fame, but the station's whispers twisted each lie into truth, each dream into desperation. Nina found no solace. The static dug deeper, revealing truths she wasn't ready to face. The weight of reality broke upon her like a wave, leaving her gasping for air. As night descended, draping the station in its spectral cloak, they found a reel of tape marked with today's date. The atmosphere thickened with portent as they positioned the tape. Marcus pressed play. The air stilled as their voices began to loop, secrets and flaws exposed in an irreversible broadcast. Each confession was a knife, echoing in the charged silence, a morbid symphony of their own making. Outside, the trees whispered in agreement, their judgment as timeless as the forest itself. The static reigned, a harsh justice, leaving their echoes behind, chained forever to the lost frequencies of the forgotten station. In the haunted quiet, they heard their fate sealed, a broadcast to an audience of shadows. With a final hiss, the reel spun to an end, leaving the group suspended in static silence, a silence that spoke volumes. The station stood, a monument to human folly, as the forest embraced its secrets once more. The shadowed corridors of the station swallowed sound, turning footsteps into whispers. Lila Truss lingered at the edge of the group, her gaze flitting like restless static. She was a cat in a den of specters, sleek and cunning, her fingers itching to find what others overlooked. The others delved deeper, each pulled by ambition or skepticism. But Lila knew the value of secrets, not just theirs, but her own, buried beneath layers of deceit. Here, where the air pulsed with spectral residue, those secrets threatened to surface, bared by disembodied whispers. Marcus continued to play the maestro, coaxing glory from the decrepit station. His voice, a low rumble wrapped in velvet, attempted to mold the atmosphere into opportunity rather than dread. To him, everything was a performance, even as reality wavered. Gavin, recording, reveled in the eerie ambiance, a dark tapestry promising viral fame. His arrogance blinded him to the dangers lurking beneath, like a diver too enamored with treasures to see the shadows circling. Etta marched forward, skepticism her lantern in the dark. Her scientific lens sought the mundane, yet the static whispered, picking at her resolve. The white noise was unrelenting, a cacophony that defied explanation. Lila felt a shift, a change in the air as she moved toward a dusty control panel. Her eyes darted to a rusted sign marked Archive Room, and she slipped away unnoticed, seeking artifacts to satisfy curiosity and greed. Inside, the archive room was a grave of forgotten stories. Shelves sagged under decaying reels, each a ghost yearning to be heard. Lila's fingers danced across relics, feeling a pull, a peculiar itch as she unearthed a tarnished tape recorder. With a flick, the device whirred to life, crackling with memories not her own. "Thief," a voice hissed, accusing. Lila jolted, her eyes wide as the sound slithered. It was a voice she knew, yet not from this world, a past mark long forgotten. The static wove accusations and bitter truths entwined with her misdeeds. Her breath caught, and as the condemnation unfurled, the room tightened, a vice of spectral judgment. Back with the others, Gavin's bravado crumbled. The voices praised him still, but their adoration turned sickly sweet, a festering rot beneath admiration. His confidence unraveled, thread by thread. Etta's skepticism faltered, static whispering that her rationality couldn't shield her from truths lurking in her heart. Marcus, swept by false promises, failed to see the net closing, each boast further binding him to delusion. Lila knew she had to escape before shadows exhumed every lie. But as she turned, dread rooted her in place, spellbound by the revelation that her past could never be shed, only confronted. The whispers crescendoed, a symphony clawing at their sanity. In the station's heart, the static was alive, a puppeteer pulling strings of deception and regret. It was judge and juror, meeting ironic justice on the torment they pursued. Lila's last coherent thought was bitter irony, a thief trapped by secrets she sought to steal. In the archive room, shadows closed in, swallowing her cries as the station thrived on revealed truths. The static's grasp tightened, unraveling their flaws, strand by strand. In the dim-lit broadcast room, the air was heavy with tension, a throb matching Marcus Delaney's heart. He stood at the microphone, rusted relic of past glories, amid dissonant static. The others were scattered, each ensnared by personal hauntings, leaving Marcus to face the crescendo alone. Outside, the forest wrapped the station in a smothering embrace, guarding secrets no living soul was meant to uncover. Inside, shadows grew denser, pressing in as if the station itself were closing its jaws. Marcus's voice cracked the silence. "Welcome, dear listeners, to a special broadcast," he intoned, words mixing bravado and uncertainty. The microphone hissed back, unholy laughter dancing around the room. The static, alive with a spectral malice, warped each word, mocking its origin. A creeping cold slid down Marcus's spine as he realized the voices had claimed him. Despite fear clawing at his composure, he clung to the dream of a return to fame, believing this broadcast would resurrect his career. The others, silhouettes in the ghostly glow of the control panel, seemed unaware of their unraveling. Etta, skepticism now flimsy, listened intently, trying in vain to decode the madness. Her analytical mind was a jumble of fractured equations, disrupted by static's relentless pulse. Gavin retreated, praise from the spectral audience turning derisive, gnawing at his fragile facade. His recorder, once an ally in fame, now betrayed him with each taunting playback of failure. Nina, the naive intern, sat huddled, innocence shattered by revelations others couldn't comprehend. The static fed her truths she dared not acknowledge, stripping illusions and leaving her exposed to ambition's darker side. Marcus watched through a haze of fear and defiance, grip tightening on the microphone. He wanted to shake them from stupor, to warn or rally them, but words drowned in the swirling cacophony. If anyone could salvage this descent, break free of the station's grip, it had to be him. But then the reel-to-reel tape, forgotten in chaos, began to spin, and with it came voices, haunting and familiar, a spectral symphony piercing through clamor. Each confession, whispered fear and hidden sin, looped with unrelenting clarity, laying bare their collective guilt. Marcus's own voice emerged, distorted yet clear. "The lies we tell are the chains we forge." He staggered back, the full weight of duplicity crashing over him. Every deception, every self-aggrandizing tale, now an anchor. The station's static fed on illusions, devouring greedily, leaving him hollow. In a desperate bid, Marcus reached for controls, hands shaking with frenzy. But the station, alive with intent, resisted, its dials and switches slick with unseen power. The broadcast was out of his hands, commandeered by forces he could never control. As static surged, shadows coalesced, whispering failures with relentless intimacy. Marcus's final breath caught, realization dawning. This was his legacy, a forgotten ghost, trapped in ether he sought to conquer. The echoes of demise played on, a chilling broadcast to specters, unseen and eternal. As lights flickered, the forest watched in silent agreement, judgment timeless as shadows dancing among trees. When the reel spun to a stop, static reigned once more, a chilling requiem for the foolish souls ensnared in its embrace. Thus ended the broadcast of shadows, a grim testament to ambition's folly, a tale for the darkest corners of myth and memory. The station stood, a monument to human frailty, as the forest swallowed its secrets, leaving whispers of those who dared too much. In haunted silence, there was no applause, only the echo of static, a cruel, ironic laughter lingering like the ghost of a forgotten broadcast. The end.